So long farewell.
So episode 9 is all about getting ready and serving a mission. Um, I probably decided I wanted to serve a mission when I was a sophomore in high school, but I didn't do a whole lot to prepare for that financially. I felt like I was really solid as far as the testimony goes. There was no doubts I wanted to go, and I'm really grateful to this day for the courage that I had to go, because I mean that's saying something, to just leave home. At the time, it was a big deal because you got a phone call home for Mother's Day, you got a phone call home for Christmas. Other than that, it was letters. And here I am thinking, can I do that? Can I do that? And by now, all of these friends that I had made from my sophomore year in high school, they're starting to come home. And they are different people. And I just thought, that's what I want. I really want that. And the way to get that is go on a mission. And so I don't remember a whole lot about preparing from my ward standpoint. I took the institute classes preparing for a mission. I remember going through the interview process, which now as a church leader and shepherding kids through that process, like I know it really well, and I know now what I didn't know back then, and I was just so clueless. Like I knew that like there was priesthood advancement, there was temple and all that kind of stuff, but we in those days, this is 1997, we were so fixed on the pomp and circumstance of getting this kid out on a mission and having a massive like farewell. And then of course they come home like these triumphant heroes for their homecoming, and there's a big party, and I didn't want to miss out on that, So yeah, there was the testimony aspect, and I felt like I had the testimony and I really wanted to be out there, but who could pass up on that kind of recognition, And I knew my parents wanted me to go. So here I am, I'm preparing to go. Now the trend is you prepare, and when you get that call, there's this unveiling, right? I don't remember it being that way then. I remember some of my friends waited around the evening that they got their letter, and that they would open it with their families. Maybe their girlfriend or some other friends came. I was not that kid. The mission letters came on a Wednesday, I think. And interestingly enough, I had a route for my flower delivery in Layton, which was never the case. I was always in Ogden, and other drivers covered Layton. But on the particular day that my call came, I was driving a route through Layton, and I thought, I'm going to just take the long way back, drive by my house, check my mailbox, and just see if it's there. I open it up, and it's there. And I'm so excited. Did I wait? Heck no. Like, I took that envelope, I went right into my house, and I read it. I'm so excited about where I'm going to be spending the next couple of years. When I was, I had some, I wanted to speak a different language. I also was a little hesitant to want to like go too far away. I don't know why. I was nervous about culture and cuisine and stuff like that. But I ended up getting a call to Lima, Peru. I read this in the letter, and instantly I think to myself, I know someone that's been called to Lima, Peru. And it was one of my best friends from high school, Jason Salmon. We call him Fish because his last name is a fish. And so I instantly write him a letter and say, I can't remember what mission you're in, but like, please tell me it's the South Mission in Lima. And he quickly confirms that it is, and which was amazing. I loved just thinking about us being able to be in the mission together, because we shared talents. We sung a lot in high school together, and we thought this would be the greatest way to be able to preach the gospel, is to incorporate music. I knew someone else in my mission as well, and that someone else was my next door neighbor. My next door neighbor is a tall, redheaded guy by the name of Rob Openshot. And it's funny, we just had a reunion not too long ago, and I really enjoyed talking to him. And we actually went to lunch later and have corresponded since. But he moved to Layton from Virginia. and our backyards bordered each other. And one of the things that really got on his nerves, or maybe didn't get on his nerves, but he loved to poke fun at me, is when I'd say, we live in Layton. Or no, sorry, I said it wrong. We live in Layton. And he would go, Layton? Layton? It's Layton. There's a T there. And he would make a big deal out of it. And of course, he's East Coast, and he hears the accent that I'm not hearing. And so some of these really quirky things are like getting on my nerves. We played basketball a lot. And I really didn't love his style of playing because he was much bigger than me. And he kind of just like pushed me around a little bit. Even though he's a very nice person. Anyway, he was called to the same mission as me. And his way of living like the mission rules and gospel, even as we were priests in the priest quorum, I just knew that he was going to be this really kind of weird by the book person. And not that I'm not by the book, I'm a rule guy, but I don't want the rules to like eliminate personality, right? So anyway, he's in the MTC at the time I get my call, and I correspond with him and say, hey, I'm on my way. I'm just a couple months behind you. And that was really fun to be able to know that I'd see some familiar faces once I got there, right? Other than that, all my friends are serving or beginning to serve their missions. My friend Clark, he leaves months before he goes to France. Another friend of mine, Doug, went to Puerto Rico. We had a network. There was 5 of us, I think, and we had a cassette tape, and we would record a message on it, and then we would send it around the world, and we would just update everyone on what we were doing. I'm not sure how it works if we erased the previous person's message or whatever, but I got sent to Honduras and to Puerto Rico and France and Thailand and Peru, right? A lot of fun. One of the things that was really distracting for me, or I allowed it to be distracting, was just this idea when you're about to serve a mission and go far away is, well, this is the last time I'll be doing this before I go, whether it's the last time I'm going to this restaurant or the last date I'm going to go on or the last time I'm going to visit the lake or the last movie that I'm going to see in the theater, right? And I remember, I think the last movie that I had the opportunity to see in the theater was probably like Independence Day or something like that. One of those Will Smith summer blockbusters. But I'm doing all of my lasts, essentially. And one of the conversations that was inevitable to come up is the boys would always talk about filling your canteen. And that had everything to do, as inappropriate as it sounds now, with making sure that you have someone to kiss before you leave. And that just, it was always kind of on my mind. Not that I was even dating anybody, but I kind of wanted to. I wanted to have somebody miss me. And as I process it now, I feel like that was a real fear of mine. Like leaving and being very lonely and being by myself and not having someone that was constantly thinking about me other than my mom, right? Or my grandma, right? I wanted someone to write, and I was really nervous that like I'd go out and everyone would be getting letters or packages except for me. And so, not that I was not genuine with the relationships that I had, and certainly didn't go the lengths of filling the canteen like the boys were talking about, which I'm glad that was the case. But I kind of just was hoping for people to write. And what was really interesting is as I was leaving, I really enjoyed spending a lot of time at other people's homes. Money was tied up my house, and so sometimes you could just feel the stress always. So I would go to these other people's houses, and their mothers were just so welcoming. And I must have had like 2 or 3 mothers that would consistently write me on my mission, and they were writing the things that like I was really excited about. They were writing to me about things they were learning in the scriptures, and they were writing to me about, that kind of stuff and updating me on their family. Some of the girls that would write, like I was glad that they would write, but they would just complain, like school's dumb, I'm not really into it, anything like that. So that was a really funny thing to end up happening. It wasn't planned at all, but certainly something that blessed me as I was a missionary that I'll talk about in season 2. But that was what it was like getting ready to go. The mission home or farewell I'll make a couple of references to that and comment on that. The church kind of came out and announced that they were really wanting to steer away from the big farewell. And this was right as I was about to have my opportunity, something that I was looking forward to for so long. And now they were taking it away from me, right? And I thought, well, surely I'll be able to have some kind of an experience and be able to give a talk with my parents who are invited to speak also, in a way that would invite the Spirit, right? And music was a huge part of my life in high school, and so I wanted to make sure that we had music. So my friends that were still around, they joined me so that we could sing a great arrangement of How Great Thou Art, I believe, or Secret Prayer, one of those. I can't remember. It was a David Naylor arrangement. And then the other song that I chose to share was during my talk. And it's called Face to Face. I can't remember who wrote it. I can't remember who or how I even learned it. But back then in those days, like the church media, especially like seminary media, like they were just dipping their toe into the church pop music genre, and groups like Afterglow and things like that were just beginning to be sold like in Deseret Book. And we were gobbling this up. Like we were just like, this is the true church, and this music is true. And so I get this idea, like this is the song that I want to sing. It has the message that I want to share. How am I gonna share it? And so I decide with my sister. She agreed to accompany me, and I said, okay. Towards the end of my talk, I'm gonna start reading section 4 of the Doctrine and Covenants, which is a total like missionary scripture. Like missionaries memorize that, And so I started reading it, and I said, when I start reading it, I want you to start doing the intro to this song. She was underscoring my talk, which the production value, it becomes a performance at that point and not just like a talk, right? I'm kind of embarrassed about that now, but like I was 19 years old, right? So she starts underscoring it, and then, the song just starts. And I go from giving my talk and kind of bearing my testimony to singing. And I don't know, like I'm kind of torn on it now. Like the memory embarrasses me, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? That might have been really cool for some people in the audience. In the audience, there were a lot of people that I just was thrilled to see. There were some kids that came up from Spanish Fork, of all places, that I knew from the leadership camp that I've mentioned in earlier episodes. My English teachers from 9th grade on all came to this farewell. Like they were a big deal. I don't know how I let people know. How did word travel back then? I have no idea. But they were all there. There were some people from the flower shop that were there. I think it was because we were all very interested in going to someone else's ward at the time. Sometimes that's still very fun to go to someone else's ward. But they were all there. And of course I sang that song, and my mom was crying. She loves it. And of course it has the effect that I hoped it would. And it was really special. The stake president was there present. And I thought, I hope he doesn't have a difficult time with how I've done this. And sure enough, he comes up to me after and he says, "That's how it's done." And I was just like, yes, yes. I went out on a limb. I went a little probably too far into the performance realm, but it seemed to turn out. And so I was really thrilled about that. And within days, I think that the farewell was typically, they would try to do it like the Sunday before you left, which you'd leave on a Wednesday, and everyone went down to the brick oven to get pizza, and then they would get dropped off at the MTC, and you'd cry and all that kind of stuff. It's very different nowadays. Anyway, that's how season 1 ends. Tune into season 2, and we'll talk all about the mission at some point. All right, Isaac. I've told you every story from high school. I can't believe that you volunteered this. This has been so fun. It's going to be fun to watch with my family, if they can stand listening to me for that long.